All right, welcome in, guys. Farzin Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Chief Zone. Kind of a surprise episode. Obviously, this is an emergency right now. We're hitting the panic button before the season even kicks off. A lot of no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No panic button needed. But obviously, releasing this a little early, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on. So we're going to do this podcast right now, which obviously we're going to touch on Travis Kelce, as you can see by the title, with the injury he suffered in practice. And we'll also go over a couple of other notes. I will say this right now. So tonight there will be a live stream. It's going to be me and a few of my friends. We're just going to shoot the shit, talk some Chiefs football. That will also be on the Chiefs Zone podcast. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. We'll do that live stream tonight. This will also be on the podcast as well. All right, let's get right into it because I see you guys in the comments already. Everyone's got a lot to say regarding Travis Kelce right now and this whole situation because his status for Thursday Night Football is in doubt. For those of you who have been under a rock in the last few hours, I should say, he hyperextended his knee in practice, according to Andy Reid. So he showed up on the injury report about an hour ago, officially put as a limited participant. Now, we don't know his game designation yet for Thursday night. That will come out on Wednesday. I don't know if the Detroit Lions put out their game designations because Wednesday is going to be a travel day for the Lions. So we're not quite sure if they're just going to announce theirs now or if they're just going to wait for tomorrow or how that works. I kind of forget how that works with Thursday night games. But the Chiefs do have one more day. It's really just going to be a walkthrough, but they can still wait to announce their game designations, which should be roughly 22, 23 hours from now. So for those of you that are going to be refreshing your Twitter feeds, your Facebook feeds, wherever it is you get your information, that is when you can approximately expect the news to come. Now, I will say this right now. You look at the tight ends right now. Here are your tight ends on the active 53-man roster. You have Travis Kelce, you have Noah Gray, and you have Blake Bell. Only 3 tight ends. Matt Bushman is on the Chiefs practice squad. He's one of 2 tight ends on the practice squad. They also have Garrett Prince. I don't think this is someone that we're going to see much of. So it might be Matt Bushman who gets the promotion here. I can't. Oh, there he is on Our Lads. Let me just type Garrett Prince. Yeah, he is on Kansas City's practice squad. I'll be honest, that's not a name I was even familiar with. But I doubt he would get the call to come up to the 53-man roster right away. But I will say this. You look at the wide receivers right now. There are 7 wide receivers on the Chiefs roster. And I think a lot of people may look at that and say, that is a lot of receivers when Travis Kelce is your number 1 pass catcher, which is true. But with Travis Kelce very likely not playing Thursday night, I think there's a great possibility that you see 7 active wide receivers for the game on Thursday night. Kadarius Toney is expected to play. I certainly don't want to jump to conclusions, but the Chiefs have been very certain that Kadarius Toney is going to play Thursday night. You look at Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think he did some good things as a number 2 wide receiver and then stepped up when Juju Smith-Schuster missed a lot of time last year. And keep in mind, it wasn't just him. KT missed some games last year. McCole Hardman, boy, I mean, that was a weird injury. He missed a lot more time than expected. And fans, oddly enough, kind of came around him when he was absent with his injury, but neither here nor there. But I think MVS did some good things last year when they relied on him a little bit more. Sky Moore, this is someone who unexpectedly did not play much last year. Or I shouldn't say unexpectedly, but didn't play a whole lot on the offensive side. And when he did, have his number called. I think he did some good things, stepping up in certain situations. I would say the same with Justin Watson. Justin Watson and Sky Moore were more depth players for the wide receivers. That did change a little bit, not a whole lot, but did change a little bit whenever Tony was hurt, whenever Smith-Schuster was out, whenever Hardman was out. Change a little bit, but not by a whole lot. It was really still the Travis Kelce show with Marquez Valdes-Scantling getting some of the load for the receiving targets there. Now, obviously, some new additions this year. You look at Richie James, a guy who was expected to handle a lot of return duties. So obviously, this is someone who the Chiefs who they value his speed, and I think he can do some things on the offensive side of the ball. Rashee Rice, this is a rookie who the Chiefs drafted in the second round. Had a little bit of a rough preseason, especially that third game with a few drops there. But listen, Tyreek Hill had 3 drops in his final preseason game. A lot of people don't remember that at the time. Obviously, the Chiefs, the level of interest at the time was not as big as it is now, especially for preseason games. But I think Rice is someone that might play much more than expected. Another name, now this is not a new name, but at least new to the active 53, is Justin Ross. We saw some great things from Justin Ross when it came to his speed, his route running, his ability to make plays, especially in one-on-one situations. That definitely impressed a lot of people. So there's a possibility. I would not be surprised one bit if the Chiefs don't call Matt Bushman, if they go into the game with 2 tight ends being Noah Gray and Blake Bell. Now, how much activity are we going to see from a guy like Noah Gray in week 1 against the Detroit Lions? I don't know if we're going to see much. I think the Chiefs will still use him. Don't get me wrong. I think he'll probably get more than half of the snaps that Travis Kelce would expectedly have for this game that he is, again, expected to miss. No official word yet, but all signs kind of point towards him not being available for Thursday night. But I don't know if Noah Gray is going to get a lot of the targets that Travis Kelce would normally get Thursday night. I think you're going to see the Chiefs throw the ball to guys like MVS, Tony, Moore, and I think Justin Ross might get involved. Maybe even Richie James. I don't know if Justin Watson or Rashee Rice are going to get involved a whole lot in this game. I think it would be those 5 guys I mentioned: MVS, Tony, Moore, James, and Ross, especially Ross. I think this is, look, I know the Chiefs probably want to ease his transition as he's trying to make his way back into football, getting more and more time, more and more snaps, I should say. But I guess, if you're in an emergency situation, this might be the time to see more of Justin Ross. Another option you have is Jerick McKinnon, someone who did a lot for Kansas City in their passing game last year. Obviously, he is a running back, but lined up a lot in certain packages where he was a wide receiver, or a slot wide receiver, I should say, and that really came through for the Chiefs in those situations. So could we see Jerick McKinnon do his kind of pull through with his duties earlier than expected? Because the Chiefs usually save him for the second half of seasons and then have it carry over into the postseason. That's really where we've seen so much of Jerick McKinnon's dominance. What if the Chiefs do that earlier on? Because keep in mind, Jerick McKinnon finished the regular season as the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. It was not Travis Kelce, was not Patrick Mahomes, was not Joe Burrow, was not Josh Allen. It was Jerick McKinnon who was tabbed as the best offensive player for the months of December and the 2 weeks of January that the regular season carries over to. So a guy like Jerick McKinnon might honestly see a lot more action than expected. Here's another name that I don't know if a lot of people would expect, but what about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I know that's not a very popular name right now. A lot of people were very shocked that he made the 53-man roster, and not just shocked, but also maybe disappointed that he was picked over a guy like Deneric Prince or Perini. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, whenever he was available last year on the team, this is a guy that was pretty active in the pass catching department. So it would not surprise me if the Chiefs try to utilize their running backs a little bit more. Because, and no disrespect to Noah Gray and Blake Bell, it's just those guys are used for different types of things. I know Blake Bell, he's obviously the quarterback sneak or the tight end sneak, whatever you want to call it. And when he was hurt last year, Noah Gray kind of filled in for Blake Bell in doing those kinds of things for the Chiefs offense. Now, in terms of just overall body of work, I just don't know how much the Chiefs trust Noah Gray and Blake Bell to be able to do the things that Travis Kelce does. Not necessarily an overall ability skill-wise, but maybe just targets. Let me just put it like that. So it would not surprise me one bit if the Chiefs looked at their receivers and maybe guys like Justin Ross and Richie James and their running backs like McKinnon and Edwards-Helaire to kind of help fill in those duties that Travis Kelce would. Because here's the thing. I know for Detroit, their defense, things got a little bit easier, or at least you would think, because what's the obvious game plan for the Lions defensively? Double team Travis Kelce. You got to keep your eyes on Travis Kelce. Here's what I will say, and I heard Sam McDowell say this on Sports Radio 810, and he made a fantastic point. Keep in mind, I think it was in 2021, Travis Kelce missed a game due to COVID protocol. I don't think it was ever confirmed if he had it or not, so I want to be very cautious of that. But my point is, Travis Kelce missed the game, and in that same game that he missed, Tyreek Hill was not involved a whole lot for the Chiefs offense. I think they were trying to limit him because if I recall correctly, he was just coming back from COVID protocol. I'm trying to look this up real quickly. Let me see if I can find that specific game because I'd like to know how many catches Tyreek Hill had in that game. Let's see. He was placed on COVID reserve list December the 20th and then activated. Okay, so let me look this up real quickly. Chiefs ESPN 2021 schedule. And then whatever game the Chiefs had in the early December 20s. So bear with me one moment because I want to be accurate about this. Let's see. The game against Pittsburgh, I think it was. Let's see here. Why did that not come up correctly? Oh, that's why I clicked on the Steelers instead of the box score. Okay, so the Chiefs beat the Steelers 36-10. And in that game, Travis Kelce did not play. Tyreek Hill had 2 catches in that one. So, and by the way, he was just targeted twice in that game. So your leading pass catcher was who? Byron Pringle. Who was your second biggest leading pass catcher? It was not a wide receiver. It wasn't a running back. It was Derek Gore. Remember Derek Gore? A guy who was involved with the running backs for a little bit during his time in Kansas City. He was targeted 3 times. He caught all 3 passes for 61 yards. He had a long one go for 50 in that one. Behind him was McCole Hardman, 3 for 31. Darrell Williams, another running back, 3 for 30. Tyreek Hill was next, 2 for 19. Demarcus Robinson, 2 for 15. Noah Gray, 2 for 12. Blake Bell, 1 for 11. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 1 catch for 4 yards. Josh Gordon was, remember Josh Gordon? He was a Chief. He was targeted 3 times, but did not catch a pass. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is the Chiefs have been in this situation where Travis Kelce missed the game and Tyreek Hill did not play a whole lot in that game. So the whole situation with the Chiefs right now kind of looks similar to that game against the Steelers in 2021, where they did not have the ideal personnel available for them in that game. So, I know there are a lot of people out there who are grinning and thrilled that Travis Kelce might not be available because anything that could go against Kansas City, people want to see happen at this point. I'm not saying people are rooting for injuries, but I'm kind of saying that at the same time. Because let's be honest, this whole situation here in Kansas City, the Chiefs are just unstoppable. So in a situation where the second and third best players on the team are not going to play Thursday night, referring to Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, I know we're talking about the offense just right now, but you look at what the Chiefs have. on offense. I think the Chiefs have what it takes to get it done on Thursday night against the Lions. I do. You look at this defense, or excuse me, this offense for the Chiefs. Tell me what they don't have. I know they don't have a lot of big names. Okay, this is not Cincinnati's wide receiving corp with Higgins and Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. This is not a stacked group of wide receivers. There are a lot of unknowns, though, that I think can really rise and surprise a lot of people. And I guess if there was a time to have some of these guys shine and let people know who they are, Thursday night's the night for that. Thursday night is going to be these guys' time to shine, because a lot of people probably could not tell you who Richie James is. A lot of people don't know who Rashee Rice is, nor even Sky Moore. Even though they were recent second-round picks, Rice is still a rookie, and Moore is a guy who didn't play a whole lot on the offense last year. You might remember Moore. If you're a Chiefs fan, you know who Moore is. But if you're not a Chiefs fan, the biggest thing you might remember Sky Moore for is the punt return he had in the AFC Championship game. Kadarius Toney, again, probably a forgotten about name, because unless you follow football very, very closely, you'll remember Toney's almost had a touchdown in the AFC Championship game. He had a touchdown in the Super Bowl where he was wide open, just like Sky Moore was. And he also had the biggest punt return in Super Bowl history. So, but to a lot of people, KT is probably still a guy that a lot of people don't know. Justin Ross, how many people out there remember Justin Ross and how good he was in college? And how many of those people could remember or know that he's on the Chiefs right now? So again, there are a lot of unknowns on this Chiefs receiving core, which is why I'm excited to see Patrick Mahomes go out there and play with this offense right here. Listen, one of the things that I've always credited Patrick Mahomes for, and a lot of people have as well, is his ability to spread the football around. I think he is more than capable of winning football games with this group of pass catchers right here, minus Travis Kelce. Do I think it can help you in the long run? Meaning a postseason run? No, we're obviously not there yet. We haven't even started the season yet. I will say, I think you would need a guy like Travis Kelce to be able to make that kind of run. But I think in terms of just being able to try to win games right now, I think Patrick Mahomes has what he needs. All he needs is a good offensive line. We saw what happened in Super Bowl 55. The Chiefs obviously went and upgraded at both offensive tackle positions. Their left tackle and right tackle last year at their respective positions led the league in quarterback pressures a lot. Oh, and by the way, Patrick Mahomes still won the MVP, the regular season MVP, and then the Super Bowl MVP a couple months later. So this is an offensive line now where you're expecting to see significant improvement. And listen, you can only go up after Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley. So it doesn't take a whole lot. You could put a hot potato there, especially in replacement of Orlando Brown, and it would still be an upgrade. Donovan Smith has a lot of experience in the NFL. I know it has not been a lot of positivity in terms of consistency. He's had some up and down years. Jawan Taylor, I think one of the more underrated right tackles in the NFL. Obviously, the Chiefs felt very highly of him, and I'm glad they're not moving him to left tackle. A lot of people thought that was going to be the case. I'm very glad he's staying at right tackle. And look, I don't care how much money you're spending. If you have a quarterback named Patrick Mahomes, if you have a franchise quarterback you need to protect, I am perfectly fine with you throwing money at right tackle to ensure that Patrick Mahomes is protected. Doesn't matter if it's blindside or if it's the side that he's going to be able to see from. You got to protect Patrick Mahomes, and I think all five positions are very important. And look, I don't want to get into it too much right now, but this is why I keep saying that I'd be fine about trading Chris Jones so you can ensure that you keep Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith for the future. To circle it back to my point now, as long as Patrick Mahomes has his offensive line, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about anything moving forward. This football team, if you have Andy Reid, if you have Patrick Mahomes, and a good pass blocking offensive line, which, listen, I'm putting a green check next to all three of those things. You have the ability to win football games. You do. You do. And my prediction for Thursday night and moving forward is not changing. Unless the Chiefs start losing offensive linemen, unless Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, I'm not expecting anything different. Listen, a lot of people thought this offense was doomed without Tyreek Hill last year. It was the complete opposite. With those two terrible offensive tackles, the Chiefs' offense, the Chiefs' offense still not only just thrived, honestly was better. Mahomes obviously broke the record for most yards in a season, and I know a lot of people are talking about, oh, well, there was a 17th game. Folks, we're going to go to an 18-game schedule very, very soon, and whatever record was broken in 14 games was eventually broken in 16 games, and we're starting to see it in 17 games. Now, I don't know when we're going to switch to 18 games. It's going to happen at some point, but we're going to switch to 18 games soon. So any record, maybe the running back records might stay the same, or at least some of them might stay the same because the running back position is just different now than before. But I think in general, though, I'm like, yeah, Travis Kelce hurt. That sucks. Like, I know Chiefs fan is thrilled about that. And I hope he plays. But number one, I don't think he's going to play. Now, again, I want to be cautious here because anytime there's an injury, I've always said I don't like when people pretend to be doctors. Now, Andy Reid did confirm that he hyperextended it. It is very difficult. I mean, when did he hyperextend it? Let's just say 12 o'clock. Okay. Well, you're roughly 56 hours away from kickoff. Okay. If you hyperextend your knee and you've got a football game in 56 hours, I just don't know the odds of you playing are that high. I think they're very low. So I'm already with the mindset that Travis Kelce is not playing. But here's the other thing. Remember last year when Tyreek Hill got traded, everybody thought Kansas City was screwed. And by the way, people say, oh, no one ever said this. They absolutely did. I posted this on my Instagram, and every time I prove someone wrong by showing the receipts, it's always funny, the reactions. The narrative changes so fast. But I think with the Chiefs right now, again, Chris Jones is not here. So, the doubters and the haters obviously like that. Travis Kelce might not play. Again, the haters and the doubters, they're not going to externally celebrate an injury, but deep down inside, let's not bullshit each other here. We know that a lot of people are thrilled that Kansas City is going to be without their second and third best players. So the Chiefs, they look like they're in a position where they might have their backs against the wall, but I think it's a complete opposite. Here's my point. Last year with Tyreek Hill, again, the Chiefs were supposed to suck on offense, right? Imagine how that happened. The Chiefs offense, which people thought was going to be worse and thought that they were going to take a step back, only took a step forward without Tyreek Hill. They still had the number one offense in the NFL last year. So when you look at what the Chiefs did without Tyreek Hill, kind of makes me wonder, can the Chiefs do that with or without Travis Kelce in the situation they're in now, meaning that they can expand and open the offense more? Because one of the things that in the media they discussed, the national media that is, are the Chiefs relying too much on Travis Kelce? Well, the season hasn't even started yet, and they already need to start looking at someone else to have Mahomes throw the ball to. And listen, I'm not saying I'm excited that Travis Kelce started. Obviously not. What I am excited about is I think this is an opportunity once again for Patrick Mahomes, just like how he did all of last year without Tyreek Hill. This is now a chance for Patrick Mahomes to prove everyone wrong again and say, look, yeah, Travis and Tyreek are awesome. They're great. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in NFL history. I think he's already accomplished that. And Tyreek Hill might be the most dynamic wide receiver we've ever seen in that position, and we will probably ever see in the history of the league. But I think this is Patrick's chance to now prove that he can win without those guys. I think there's only one time where Patrick played without those two guys, and that was in his NFL debut, his rookie year in Week 17 against the Broncos. where Andy Reid rested all of the starters, all except for Kareem Hunt. He just let Kareem Hunt play for like a drive or two. That way the Chiefs could help him get the rushing record for the season, because that's pretty cool to have as a rookie. So he only had Kareem Hunt for one drive. After that, there was no Kareem Hunt, no Tyreek Hill, no Travis Kelce, and he won that football game. And that was a game where the Broncos still had their defensive starters in the second half. Remember Von Miller roughing the passer on Patrick Mahomes? Now, obviously, 2017, far different year than right now, 2023, because Patrick has far more experience. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's won 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs, an Offensive Player of the Year award. He has those 7 awards under his belt. Oh, and also multiple ESPY awards too. Don't forget that. So this is someone who has obviously accomplished a lot since the debut he had. And again, he won that. If you guys recall that game, it was kind of weird. The Chiefs actually pulled Mahomes from the game and kind of sat him. I don't want to say benched him, because that's more of a negative connotation. That means the player struggled, so you pull him out of the game. But they took Mahomes out of the game because they thought they won. Tyler Bray goes and screws everything up. They put Mahomes back onto the field. And again, with 10 other backups playing with him, Mahomes leads the Chiefs down to a game-winning drive where they get a field goal from Harrison Butker to win the game. So anyway, my point is, as much as Kelce is a big weapon for the Chiefs offense, I think what this will do, and just watch, a lot of people think it's going to be the complete opposite. I think the Chiefs offense will only open up more without Travis Kelce. Listen, I know what people are going to do. People are weird with sports. They'll always take one game as an indication for the entire season, or even one drive as an indication for the entire game. I'll tell you this right now. The Chiefs are going to get off to a very slow start offensively, okay? That's going to happen Thursday night. They're going to get off to a slow start. So don't be surprised if Detroit scores first. And you're going to see a lot of haters celebrating. The Chiefs will get it together. So for those of you watching right now, watching and listening right now, I'm telling you right now, relax. The Chiefs will get off to a slow start offensively, but they'll pick it up. They'll figure it out. And Detroit's not going to know what to do, because here's the bad news. Detroit spent their entire week preparing for Travis Kelce. That was their defensive game plan. Okay. So Detroit does not have any time to practice. They're traveling tomorrow to Kansas City. Now, the silver lining with this Travis Kelce injury is that it happened on a Tuesday, meaning that Wednesday, and again, I don't know what kind of practice Wednesday is. Generally, if you're the home team and you're not traveling, the final practice, the final day of practice before game day is generally a simple walkthrough. So I don't know exactly what the Chiefs are going to do for Wednesday's practice, but because they're not traveling, this gives them somewhat of an advantage here, and they can figure out something to install into the offense for Thursday night. You might say, is one day enough? Well, you know what, man? When your head coach is Andy Reid and when your offensive coordinator is Matt Nagy, I'm pretty confident in them. Listen, Matt Nagy did a great job in his final season as the Chiefs OC in 2017. That led him to getting a head coaching job. And he also won Coach of the Year in Chicago. I know things did not end well in Chicago, but this guy made the playoffs with Mitchell freaking Trubisky as his quarterback and not getting any help whatsoever from the Chicago Bears front office. I mean, look at Chicago right now. They've hardly done anything to help out their situation. I think this is off topic, but I think Justin Fields is a guy who is capable of doing good things, but, they're not helping him out. They're not giving him the tools he needs. So I'll just leave my point there. But circling back to this offense here, with 1 day left, obviously we have 2 days left, but in terms of practice days left, there's only one practice left. And again, I don't know what kind of practice is this going to be. Generally speaking, not to repeat myself, but to make a point about this, that last practice. So let's just say that this game was on a Sunday. Tomorrow's practice is essentially a Saturday practice. Because Saturdays teams are generally traveling if they are the away team. If teams are at home, Saturday is a walkthrough practice 99% of the time. So I don't know how the Chiefs are going to treat tomorrow's practice. Are they going to put on the pads and helmet? How much activity will there be with practice? Is it going to be a normal walkthrough like a normal Saturday? Those are just things I'm just going to put out there because I think we need to put all those possibilities on the table. But I will say this: I think one day, let's back up a second. So it's almost 5:00 as we do this live podcast. For those of you listening on the archive version, we're doing this Tuesday late afternoon. Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and the rest of the offensive coaching staff, I'm sure they've spent the past couple of hours and will spend more time. By the way, people get surprised by this. Coaches spend a ton of hours in their facilities. I mean, coaches have no life. If you guys listen to Kevin Harlan, I remember once he on the Westwood One broadcast from Monday Night Football, he mentioned that a lot of the coaches, because they work long hours, on their way home, they're listening to Kevin Harlan. So a lot of coaches work late hours at the practice facilities. Anyway, my point is, I'm sure Andy Reid and the rest of the offensive coaching staff have already spent time working on putting together a new game plan because let's be honest, we know a majority of the offensive game plan revolves around Travis Kelce. That's not a secret to anyone. The Lions know this. Everyone knows. Anyone that just casually watches football knows that the Chiefs' offensive game plan circles so much around Travis Kelce. Now, with the amount of time the coaches have today and whatever time you have with the players tomorrow, Wednesday, this is their time to figure out something else. By the way, I see Keaton commenting saying now the Lions have to adjust their game plan as well. Yes, that's a good point, Keaton. I mentioned this earlier. The bad news for the Lions is they don't have the time to do so because Wednesday is a travel day. Now, can they still get together for a team meeting in the hotel and talk about things? Yeah, of course. But it's not going to be the same because you're not going to have a padded practice. You're not going to have a walkthrough. You're traveling. So the only thing you can really do is just meet with your team at the host hotel, wherever it's going to be. I don't know where the teams usually stay. You guys probably know that better than I do. But that is the best you can do if you're Detroit. So the Chiefs are kind of, they've got a little bit of an advantage right now. And I say this because I think Andy Reid, and listen, I've been very critical of Andy Reid with maybe the way he coaches whenever the Chiefs have a big lead. But if there's anything Andy Reid does a great job of, this guy is an offensive guru, okay? You give me the 5 smartest offensive coaches in NFL history, he's up there, okay? And I think Charlie Weiss, fantastic offensive guru in the NFL, definitely not in the college ranks, but when it comes to the NFL, I think Charlie Weiss did a fantastic job during his time in the NFL. In New York, with the Patriots, and in his very short time with the Chiefs, I mean, Matt Castle and Dwayne Bowe were Pro Bowlers. And I would argue that was a time where the Pro Bowl meant something significant at the time compared to now. Anyway, yeah, I digress. My point is, I think Andy Reid, you give him at least one day, I think he can figure out something. What is that exactly going to be? Well, we kind of went over it with the running backs. I think McKinnon and Edwards-Helaire could get involved more than expected for Thursday night's game in the pass catching department. A guy like Justin Ross might see more playing time than expected. Maybe Rashee Rice. MVS, Tony, and Moore are your key, your top 3 wide receivers. So I think you were already going to see some of them already, just a little bit more now because Kelce's out. Here's a name I have not mentioned yet. Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco is a guy from the beginning, someone who really stepped up in this position, eventually took Clyde Edwards-Helaire's job from him. Now, obviously, this was before CEH's injury, so the Chiefs already felt highly of Pacheco and started giving him more and more snaps and named him the starter at one point. Before the Edwards-Helaire injury happened. So the Chiefs have already felt very highly about Pacheco for a very long time. And this is a guy who really stepped up. Remember that one drive that that Patrick Mahomes left against the Jaguars? Pacheco stepped up and made some big plays during that drive for the Chiefs. Chad Henne did as well, and he deserves the credit for it. But Pacheco, man, I think he was really the MVP of that drive. He was the heartbeat of that drive for the Chiefs. So is there a possibility, because this is not Andy Reid's MO, but given the situation, what are the odds that the Chiefs try to surprise the Lions and go run heavy in this one? I don't want to dismiss that possibility. Right now, and listen, it's impossible for all of these guys, all these names I've mentioned today, it's impossible for all of them to step up and make a big impact because realistically, it's just impossible to distribute the ball that much to everyone. I think you might see a 100-yard receiver somewhere in this group, maybe a 100-yard rusher. But I think at the end of the day, I still have no doubt that Patrick Mahomes will have a 300-yard passing game in this one. If I had to put money on that, I will gladly put money down that as long as he doesn't get hurt, that I think Patrick Mahomes will throw for at least 300 yards in Thursday night's football game against the Lions. Mahomes just has an insane track record for week one. So I still think he'll be able to go out there and put up big numbers. And Joshua says he scored on a play a janitor drew up. Mike says 87's playing. I hope so, Mike, but listen, we're a little over 48 hours away. You hyperextend your knee. I just don't know realistically. Let's say he does play. He's not going to be 100%. He's just not. Yeah, Blake, I was mentioning that. McKinnon was huge for the Chiefs down the stretch last year. Forced a bunch of missed tackles against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. I think you're referring to Kelce? I'm not exactly sure. Or Pacheco. Pacheco had that massive run in that drive. Yeah, he did, Blake. That was huge. He's going to hit all 7 receivers? Yeah, possibly. Oh, you're referring to Pacheco in your other comment, by the way. Okay. Nick says, I'd love to see us run the ball more. See, a lot of people have been asking for this. Again, it's just not what Andy Reid does. But, would this be the time to maybe surprise some people? Yeah, this would be listen, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know if Sky Moore ends up being the crazy hero of 8 catches for 150 yards. Maybe Kadarius Toney hits the jackpot and has a big game. Maybe Noah Gray has a big game tonight or Thursday night. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco goes off and has a monster game. Whatever scenario we end up seeing Thursday night is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. My point is, like, put yourself in Detroit's shoes right now, especially if you're the defensive coaching staff for Detroit. What are you expecting realistically? What do you think? Again, if you're Detroit, how do you prepare? Because the Chiefs have a little bit of time to still work things out. But Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, this guy's got a lot of work to do. Okay. He's got to be better. And by the way, I don't really know if Aaron Glenn is like the most viable option for the Lions. The Lions did not have a great defense last year. Where did they rank in total defense last year? Let me pull this up. They ranked, let's see. Oh, dead last. And they've got the same defensive coordinator. So that goes well for you. Listen, man, I'll just conclude by saying this. I think the Chiefs will be just fine. I think Andy Reid, he's got a little bit of, not a lot of time, but still has enough time to devise some sort of a game plan for Patrick Mahomes. And look, Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the best in the NFL when it comes to distributing the football and getting a lot of other players involved. Yes, in years past, he's had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill as his primary pass catchers. But I just read you the stats in that Steelers game where Travis Kelce was absent because of COVID protocol. Tyreek Hill was barely involved in that game. And Patrick Mahomes, how many yards did he throw in that one? He threw for 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a passer rating of 135. His best pass catcher was Byron Pringle. Okay. So I feel pretty damn good still. Okay. Patrick Mahomes has balled out with Demarcus Robinson multiple times. He's balled out with McCole Hardman. He's done it with Byron Pringle. He's done it with anyone and everyone. Jerick McKinnon. Okay. I'm confident in his abilities going into this game. I just am. A lot of people out there who hate on the Chiefs, they are thrilled right now. Okay. Mark my words. They're not going to have the same level of energy Thursday night when the Chiefs win against the Lions. Okay. Now, this is not our preview podcast. That will be tomorrow night. Later tonight, I will have a few friends on. We will shoot the shit basically and pretty much preview the season. But I wanted to get this out a little early because I know a lot of you guys wanted to touch on Travis Kelce. Oh, yeah, Albert Wilson. Thank you, Keaton. Albert Wilson. I mean, Mahomes in his NFL debut balled out with him. Okay, so you get the idea at this point. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back tonight at 8:15. We will do a live stream again, so please come back tonight on Facebook and on YouTube. If you missed the live show, we will have it on the podcast. Tomorrow night on Red Wednesday, we will preview the Chiefs and the Lions game. I'll also give you guys my prediction for the season, my win-loss prediction for the season, which games I think the Chiefs will drop. That will be tomorrow. All right, I'm out of here. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you guys again for joining me for this surprise edition of the Chiefs Zone. I'll talk to you guys later tonight. Take care.